Last time we talked about the wonders of the ring world, endless sprawling lands built around a star with unlimited habitation, unlimited research, unlimited energy, etc. And it was wonderful, except for that interloper that showed up halfway through. However, today we're going to be looking at the other end of the spectrum. Void Dwellers. Start off in 3 habitats. Is it any good? Is it powerful? Is it interesting? We will see. Let's dive into Void Dwellers and see how they play. First of all, Void Dwellers are probably one of those that have been requested for quite some time. A lot of people have always been asking, hey, can we start on a habitat? That'd be really cool. You know, that planet, all that dirt, all that earth everywhere. That's terrible. We don't want any of that. We want to play in habitat, and thus, within Federations, Paradox has in fact delivered. Let's take a quick look at the origin itself. As mentioned, you will start off with 3 habitats that are around a system. They are all different, and we will talk about that in a little bit because this plays into the new habitat mechanics that have been added since, I want to say, 2.4, a little while back. Habitats are a lot more interesting than that they were in the past and significantly more powerful, but more importantly, flexible. Our species has a very specific trait that means that we get 15% more production from our workers, which is quite excellent. It means that we can pretty much output resources like absolute mad, and especially in combination with research modifiers as well as empire modifiers that we can gain throughout playing Stellaris, we can get insane amount of production. We are still incredibly hampered, however, by habitation space, but we will talk about that as well. As you can see, we have severe habitability and growth penalties on all normal planets, which means that we are definitely a species that will want to stick to these habitats. On top of that, finally, we will get a +1 farmer job for every single hydroponic farm. Habitats do not have internal farming districts. We won't be able to use any of those, so we actually need to use building slots in order to get those farms up and running. And that kind of brings a challenge of its own. Finally, we cannot be Gestalt and we cannot be Agrarian Idyllic because that would be a little bit too gamey. Let's dive into what the start of a Void Spawn, a Void Dweller, looks like and see what is up with our species. Similar to the Ringworld start, I've decided to go with the joys of the Megacorp. Megacorps are once again extremely powerful in these sort of scenarios. You can use normal empires as well, but once again, Megacorps with their use of trade value and especially the special districts that come with said trade value, well, things get very interesting very quickly. Let's have a quick look at our species, what they are like and what they do. Alright, so here we are. We are, in fact, habitat preference. We get 100% habitability bonus on habitats, which is amazing because every single other species, it doesn't matter whether or not you're continental, tropical, or ocean, only get a +80 on every single world that is not their own, which is rather curious. And on top of that, we get the Void Dweller habitat perk, which is, you know, we get worker output +15%, specialist pop growth resource output 15%, worker pop research output also 50%, but finally pop growth speed -10. Now -10 is not the end of the world. We're gonna nip that in the butt very quickly, especially once we start getting robots. Yes, we are once again going for a materialist build this time around. Finally, we get industrious minerals from jobs +15. It's going to be really important because minerals are what keeps our economy going. More specifically, alloys. We need alloys in order to build more habitats, and we can only generate more alloys by having minerals. So having industrious is rather important here. Thrifty, because of the megacorp trade value from jobs, is always good, and we can always turn trade value into consumer goods. Consumer goods in particular are one of the things that I would consider a bottleneck in this particular case, which means that trade value is in fact very important. Then charismatic amenities from jobs. Amenities are a serious problem on habitats. They are very important to keep up, and if you do not generate any amenities on your habitats, then you're going to run into serious problems with uprisings and whatnot. Finally, non-adaptive. We don't need it. We don't need any habitability because we're going to be living on on these bad boys anyway. And finally, unruly. Empire sprawl from pops +10. It's literally the offset all of these things. When it comes to empire sprawl, it has absolutely zero impact within your playstyle these days. Because of the new administration system, this is a automatic throwaway trait, because we can just generate more empire sprawl using the admin centers, and they are so powerful that going tall in Stellaris as of 2.6.1 is not really viable or should be done. Go as wide as you want. You can always get more admin sprawl. And then finally, let's take a quick look here at our empire. We are xenophile for that additional trade value, but also for additional envoys. Very, very important. Envoys are incredibly powerful for relationship building with other empires, and you're going to be fairly weak at the start of the game, so you're going to be needing to make as many friends as possible. So having those envoys up and running is very important. Fanatic Materialist for that robot, and research speed, because of course we want to get as much research speed as possible. This particular playthrough does lean very, very much on research speed. You want to keep an eye on that. You want to be able to go through those growth modifiers as fast as possible, and also making sure that you can get more output from your people where you can. So research is very important. Then Megacorp as well, similar to the Ringworld. Another approach here would be the Research Directorate, where you'll be able to get a lot of research very quickly. It really depends on the kind of habitats or where you build habitats within the game. Trade value +10%, brand office value +10% as well. It's good because I really don't have all that many problems with empire sprawl. Therefore, we can just dump our franchises wherever we want. Public relations, again, specifically for the envoy and the diplomatic weight. In my personal opinion, it is a must pick within 2.6.1 as well as federations, because the envoys are just so important to gain control of both your relationships within your federations, your neighbors, but also within the galactic community. Keep that in mind. Very, very important. So let's take a look at our habitats. We start off with 3 habitats right at the start in this nice little system. It is very tight. It's a trinary at the moment. As you can see, there is a bunch of resources here that we can use. And that right there is we want to keep in the back of our heads. Thunderbird 5, our capital in this particular case, is a research version of the habitats. How is it a research version of the habitats? Well, if we go there, we will see that this planet, this former shattered world, is generating science. If we build a habitat over a science-generating orbital body, we will in fact get access to the research district. The research district, similar to the ring world, is really the clinch here. It really makes things come together. It means that you do never have to build any buildings around research, except maybe the science center that increases everything. So be aware of that. However, we also have the trait district, which increases trade value and amenities. Once again, amenities are very, very difficult to work with when it comes to these sort of planets, because our habitation districts do not generate any amenities. They just generate housing. That is it. No jobs, just housing. And that is something we need to keep in the back of our heads. It means that we need to micromanage our habitats relatively specifically in order to make sure we don't get overpopulation, no joblessness, etc. So this is something that is very, very important. In addition, what we can do here is we can focus on, say, hydroponics plants, but also on consumer goods. We've got our leisure districts, which consumes consumer goods. We got our research districts, which consumes consumer goods, and our trade district, which is basically a freebie. It's very, very good, and it gives us trade value as well as amenities, but not as much as the leisure district in this particular case, which also gives us science and unity. Unity, of course, we can use in order to get to our traditions very, very quickly. Then we go to our next station. It is a mineral style station. Why is it a mineral style station? Because the resources being generated by the planet below it are in fact minerals. This is where we're going to get all of our minerals from throughout this playthrough. If we need to get more minerals, we need to find ourselves a planet that we can build a habitat over that has minerals on it. And that right there is kind of the style of playing here. We are not really focusing on planets that have specific resources. We are looking for spatial and planetary bodies that have specific resource modifiers to build our habitats on. Finally, of course, there is the energy version. You can already guess what this means. The planet below generates energy, and of course we can still harvest all of that, but we are getting our reactor districts, which of course generate all that energy. So where is the real power here? Well, the real power for this particular origin is the fact that we start off with 3 places that generate pops. 3 parallel places that are already fairly well developed that generate pops, and that right there is something that is incredibly powerful. It also means that we can develop a lot quicker at the start of the game. For instance, we can immediately start specializing our habitats to what we want. Normally in a game, what you would do is you would go fairly generalistic with your planets at the start. So put a smattering of research stations over here and a smattering of mining stuff over there with a dash of some energy and maybe some more research and some consumer goods. In this particular case, we can immediately start specializing because we already have our predefined habitats in place that are already set up in such a way that we are ready for specialization. And that right there is really important. What is also important is that we want to be able to get resources as soon as possible, specifically minerals as well as energy. Minerals and energy, of course, are being generated on our stations, but the more we can get from space, the better. Let's take a look at what a later game looks like with this particular start and how things will progress over time and what your station layout could look like. This is not the most optimal build, I want to tell you in advance, but it's still very interesting to take a look at how things can develop and to see that this start is definitely not as underpowered as some people have been saying. So here we are. This is a separate save file that I've been running and I've been playing around for a little bit. It's an interesting start because obviously we got this insane tunnel of death towards our capital system. But as you can see, the capital system has grown quite significantly. And that has mostly to do with the fact that we have started to build our habitats. A couple of years, about 20 years into the game, we finally managed to get our key approach within our economy, and that is alloys. The Void Dweller approach, the origin, falls or rises with alloys, and therefore also minerals. Let's take a quick look here at Thunderbird 5, our capital world. As you can see, we have focused quite a lot here on research, but also on habitation. Do we really need this trade district? Yes, we do. Why do we need this trade district? Specifically for the amenities. Right now, the amenities are very, very low, as you can see, and we will get issues with uprisings, which is something that we really want to keep an eye on. The lower our stability on our habitats, the lower the production on our habitats, which means that we want to keep those amenities high. A leisure district is a good approach of dealing with that. In addition, we have 3 alloy plants right at the start of the development cycle of our station. This is because we do not need to build those research stations because they're all set inside of the research district. And this means that we are generating a plus 100 science per habitat of this particular type. It is incredibly powerful. However, at some point, we are going to run out of space. Why are we going to run out of space? Well, I will let you know. There are no housing-specific buildings for void dwellers. Habitats do not have specific buildings for for housing. And that's why at some point you are going to need to make sure that you discourage either planetary growth or you use your more established habitats as places to jumpstart the production on new habitats. For instance, Thunderbird 5 right now, it's got a overpopulation of specialists. What we can do here is say, hey, Thunderbird 4 or Thunderbird 2 has a large amount of jobs available to them. So we can use this overpopulation to move them to Thunderbird 2. As you can see, we have a couple of specialists here. It's not the end of the world. We'll throw them into a corporate cultural site. We can really, really jumpstart our economy by building quite a lot of our alloy factories. In this particular case, we already have 4 here, and we have got another 3 here, and another 3 over here. We are, well, 40 years into the game, and we're generating 70 plus alloys. That means that we can crank out habitats extremely quickly and extremely efficiently. And that right there is something you want to keep in mind with Void Dwellers. These are just places to keep our population growing until there is no more habitation and we move them on to the next place. Say, for instance, Thunderbird 2, another astro mining bay facility. Sure, we haven't built any leisure districts here. We haven't built any trade districts here, but they will come soon enough because amenities are running low. So let's just build ourselves a leisure district. As always, unless you don't have any jobs available, don't build any districts, don't build any buildings, because they will start to cannibalize each other and your economy will go crap itself. Same thing with this place. It is online. So habitats themselves for Void Dwellers have also been boosted. Let's take a quick look here at our traditions, specifically our additional ascension perks. We get Voidborn extremely early because we have the ability to build Voidborn crafts, i.e. habitats. We can get additional habitability out of our habitats, but also get additional districts. Considering we don't have any planets, additional districts as well as alloys are the cornerstone of our economy. Always get the additional districts. It is so important, as well as discovery. Discovery is so good to have in this particular case because you can really boost your research. Let's take a quick look here at our science. What have we done science-wise? Research station output, 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 output. Just nothing but output across the board because all of our stuff as is focused on our habitats. Pop growth speed, food, society research, starbase capacity for those trade goods, the additional edicts, same thing under engineering, city district housing, so important. If we don't have city district housing, we won't have the space to put our pops. Minerals for miners, engineering, more miners, as well as robots. Why are robots so good? Because it's an additional track of population growth. The more pops you have, the more powerful you are, and especially if you get the droids or the synthetics, they'll be able to do the more complex jobs, and you'll be able to do a lot more stuff. Sooner or later, you're going to want to build more habitats. You only have to spend about 3,000 alloys, which is not all that much, and about 200 influence as well. You want to keep within your capital system as much as possible until you run out of the resources that you want. So for instance, in this particular case, we probably want to get some more food as well as energy. So we want some energy, that's fine. We can just take a look here at this bulwark. It's a system, it's a place with 6 energy. This would be the perfect place for yet another habitat. The habitats are incredibly powerful, they're very flexible, but they're also relatively weak at the start of the game. If you do not have enough envoys to keep your neighbors at bay, as we have in this particular case, then you're going to be in a lot of trouble. Make sure you have enough envoys to keep your neighbors at bay, and you will do fine. Especially if you have a death hallway like this at the start of the game. Anyway, we're going to go wrap it up here. If you have any questions regarding Void Dwellers and their mechanics, make sure to put a comment below. I'm really looking forward to answer them. Of course, you can always go for the research approach. In this particular case, I went for the Megacorp. Feel free to ask questions about that as well. Void Dwellers, they are a little bit more finicky than regular planetary folk, but they are good fun. I want to thank my patrons for making this video possible. If it wasn't for you, I would probably be sleeping in a box outside with my wife, probably having divorced me. Sorry, sweetie. Yes, I know how you're looking at me right now. Still, though, thank you so much for making this possible. For those of you out there that also want to jump on the Patreon train, feel free. There is a link below in the description. In addition, if you have a need to buy Federations, there's also a link in the description below. It will link you straight to the Paradox store. 100% of those proceeds will go straight to Paradox rather than to a percentage towards Steam, and I will also get a cut of that as well. You will get both a Steam key as well as a Paradox key for their more local services, so feel free to do with that as you will. In the meantime, we're gonna go wrap it up here. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, take good care of yourselves. And remember, Thunderbirds are go.